It's Tony from the farm, and we're here with another one of our pop-ins. Now, you might be used to us having pop-ups, which is a point in time where we invite one of our friends in the cannabis industry into our store to tell you about their products through conversation and swag, and it's kind of a party atmosphere. But because of the global pandemic and our dedication to keep everyone safe, we've decided to socially distance ourselves and still give you the information about our favorite products and the information about your favorite products that you're looking for. And today, I am super stoked to introduce to you our friend Nancy Whiteman from Wana Brands. She's the CEO of Wana Brands, and she's been a friend of ours for over a decade now, Nancy, and maybe even back beyond that. We'll get into the history of the farm and Wana Brands in a moment, but I just wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. And I have to say that the farm and Wana Brands go way, way back. You were one of our original customers, and we love you dearly. So thank you for all your support over the years.
Yeah, there's something about the cannabis community in Boulder, especially the cannabis community in Boulder that goes back, over a decade, and the camaraderie that's there. It's easy for us to be friends like this, especially since your products are so incredible. They make people happy. They make people feel better. They make me feel better. When I think gummy in Boulder, I think Wana, without a doubt. And it's not just Boulder too. We're gonna get into your almost nationwide reach now, but I want to go back just a couple of months. We launched in the middle of a global pandemic, new markets and new products. What was that like for you and your team?
It was enormously challenging, to be candid with you. Let's start with the new product. So, Tony, as you know, we launched the Wana Quick product back in March. We launched it literally a week before the lockdown started. And of course, typically when we launch a new product, we do a lot of pop-ups, and our reps are out in the stores and talking with folks and just trying to stir up a lot of excitement. And all of that became impossible. It was a very hard time to launch a new product. And so that is even more reason why I'm incredibly thrilled at how well the product has done. It is now over 30% of our gummy sales without any apparent cannibalization to our existing classic Wana line. And, I have to step back and say, well, why did we do it in the first place? And our hope and belief is that there were people who avoid edibles because either the onset is too long or it lasts too long, or they really prefer more of what we call a Delta 9 experience, which is like a smoker's inhalation high, right, versus an 11-hydroxy high, which is what happens when the cannabis is metabolized through the liver.
And so your effects are much more deeply felt. For those of you who don't know or who are unfamiliar with edibles, the effects of that 11-hydroxy high that Nancy mentioned, very deeply felt. It's a much longer high, and it, depending on you and your chemistry, it can be a lot more psychoactive and intense too.
Right. And, so our hope was that we'd find a whole new audience for our products, people who thought they didn't really enjoy edibles. And so far, the results have shown us that there, in fact, is a group of folks out there who were waiting for a product like this. So it's been incredibly well received, but very challenging to launch. And as well as it's doing, I expect that it'll continue to do better and better as word gets out and as we're able to get out more and educate the dispensaries and the customers about it. And then, as you noted, not only did we launch a new product, we also launched a new market. So we launched in Oklahoma in March. We are in 2 weeks launching in Maryland, and then we're also going to be launching in Canada and then also in Missouri. So this has just been an amazing challenge, but also an amazing opportunity to learn what we can do remotely. So far, all of those launches, Oklahoma went extremely smoothly, and the other two are right on track to go smoothly as well. So it's been both challenging and rewarding.
One of the things that I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa, and I've got friends in Missouri who are chomping at the bit to find the relief that my friends here in Colorado and elsewhere have found through your product line, and they hear me talking about it because when I go home for the holidays, when I travel or traveled, I should say, but when I talk to my friends outside of Colorado, they very much want to know about brand, like what should we look for, what should we get, and I've got a lot of friends because of where I come from that aren't as acclimated to cannabis, and so they are naturally drawn to edibles, especially professionally made, consistent, well-tasting edibles like the ones that Wana Brands makes. And so your outreach to other states is so welcomed by everyone I know out there, at least, and I can't wait for my friends in other parts of the country to share in the experiences that I've come to really know and love with Wana Brands and Wana products. I want to go back in time a little bit. We mentioned we kind of came up together, and the farm and Wana Brands, we're Boulder OGs. If there is such a thing anymore, we both have our roots in cannabis, kind of as medicine, as a wellness metric, as something that people not necessarily use to recreate, or party with, but our roots are really in medical cannabis. And my question for you is that still a point that you focus on? I mean, I have to hazard a guess and say yes, because of your entire line and your diverse line of CBD infused products. But I wanted to give you some space to talk about cannabis as medicine, and all the. I also want to mention all of the states that she mentioned earlier. These are medical only states that don't have adult use markets yet. So I'd like to kind of get your perspective as a CEO of a company who has roots in cannabis as medicine, as to what that looks like for you today when you're kind of balancing both markets.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I would say that we are not only still very committed to the medical market, we're putting more resources there. As you probably know, Tony, we just launched 2 new products, 2 high potency products for the medical market. And, and as you mentioned, we have a number of CBD SKUs. One of the things that I think we have learned, though, is that there are many, many people using cannabis for health and wellness and medical reasons who are not going to the medical dispensaries, either because they don't want to get a card or they don't want to be on anybody's database. So, this distinction that we make between medical cannabis and adult use cannabis doesn't align completely with where you buy it, right?
Sure.
And so that's why it's important for us to have a product line that meets people's needs on both sides of the house, because there are people buying products in adult use dispensaries, and they are very much using them for health and wellness. As a matter of fact, if you look at the BDSA data, the consumer research data, what you see is that if you had a Venn diagram of people who use only for recreation and people who use only for health and wellness, and then you put it together, what you see is there's actually quite a large swath in the middle of people who say they use it for both. So that all the more reason why we really have to be broad in our portfolio and thinking about the range of use cases that people have when they use cannabis.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. It's part of my job as a retailer, as a bud tender, as kind of the ambassador to the public in a lot of ways, if you will, is to kind of suss out archetypes and who is the right consumer for this product, or what is the right product for this consumer that's in front of me. And one of the things that I like that you touched on is that Wana Brands has such a diverse portfolio of products that there really isn't one archetype. And I think that's what you put a lot more eloquently than I am, is that there's not just one use case for your products. There's it's gender, it's age, it's activity, it's wellness, it's there's so many people consuming cannabis for so many reasons. And the thing that I like the most about, or one of the things that I like the most about Wana, is that I can grab almost any product for any archetype and have that recommendation to that consumer hit a home run and be a home run.
Yes. One of the things that is super important to us, and I personally believe that it is what will distinguish and differentiate the cannabis brands moving forward, is the commitment to innovation and technology, which is where the Quick product really came out of. We spent 2 years in R&D on this product. We tried over 20 quick onset technologies before we selected the one that we ended up using. And we're just even now sort of gearing up and intensifying our focus on R&D and innovation even more. Because I think that, yes, it's wonderful that our products are delicious and they work really well for adult use purposes, for recreational purposes. But I think that where we have the opportunity is to do more and more innovation around product effectiveness for particular use cases, for sleep, for pain, for anxiety. And we're just really excited about some of the stuff that we have in the pipeline for that.
A lot of the non-card carrying folks that we see at the farm day in and day out are coming to us for relief from everything that you just mentioned. And so the way that your products put smiles on their faces. Talking to someone who hasn't slept well in 3 months, and after either a pen or a gummy or an edible, they're able to sleep again and have a nice rest is something that drives me as a retailer, making those recommendations and making that connection. Let me ask you, what is it that drives you? There's a lot there's a lot about cannabis that's hard. People don't understand kind of how hard it is from the outside. The different rules that we have to follow that are always changing. During March, seemingly, we as retailers had a different rule set that we had to pivot to almost every day, if not every other day. So I'd like to ask you, what is it that drives you through some of those challenges, and what do you find inspiration and hope in?
That's a great question. I often joke about this because people often ask me how I got into cannabis. I have to laugh because I got into it actually completely happenstance. I had a neighbor who was starting an infused soda pop company, and my partner, I ended up partnering with him. But at that point in time, although I was very familiar with cannabis, I really didn't know that much about the medicinal uses of it. I thought, oh, this is sort of interesting. This will be kind of fun, and what a lark this will be. And then when we started getting products on the market and I started getting feedback from people about how much it was helping them get through chemo, get through, dealing with their symptoms of MS, all kinds of really major life things, it was the most incredibly motivating experience that I've ever had at work. And it just all of a sudden completely came alive for me personally. It was like, I have this incredible opportunity to improve people's lives.
Yeah.
And, from that point on, my level of commitment and seriousness about creating great products increased exponentially. And that is the thing that's the most satisfying to me, is when people tell me, that our products have really helped them. Whether it's sleep or something a lot more serious, they're all things that have to do with the quality of our life. And how many times in your life do you have the opportunity to create products that can help a whole bunch of people?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It sounds like your drivers and my drivers, or our drivers, are very similar. And not for nothing, I have to think that part of that is because of our roots in this community, in this great Boulder community, and the emphasis that we kind of as a community put on wellness and put on on physical, spiritual, and kind of mental wellness. As if you've never been to Boulder, if you're watching this and you've never been to, please, once COVID's kind of settled down, come out and you can see what we're talking about. You can stop by the farm and grab some of these amazing products that we're talking about. My favorites, personally, here comes the endorsement. Big fan of the strawberry lemonade 1-to-1s. Big fan. It is the for me. It has been a full stop substitute as a social lubricant for alcohol. I feel, I still have a drink every once in a while, but not nearly that I was doing in my 20s or even my 30s. And so it has made me a better person. It has made me healthier because I have that option. And I would love for you all to kind of come and experience that at the farm. So big strawberry lemonade, 1-to-1 fan. We have those at the farm. Big fan of the quick gummies that we've been talking about, the fast acting gummies that we've been talking about too. The peach Bellini, by the way, full
So
stop,
delicious.
best tasting edible I've had in cannabis, without it.
Yeah, they are delicious.
Now, how do you decide what flavors go into your products, especially your edible products?
There's a lot of, we do just a ton of testing. First of all, we use all natural flavorings and colorings. So that becomes a constraint in a good way, really. We won't do any tutti frutti or anything
right.
that's artificial, right?
Right.
So, a lot of it has to do with how much the flavor can block the cannabis flavor.
Mm-hmm.
We also use other natural, they're called bitter blockers, to lower the impact of the cannabis in the product. But we go back and forth. We do a huge amount of sensory evaluations until we hit what we think is just the right flavor profile for something. And I would say that the process that we use for that, I would describe our R&D process as incredibly intentional.
Sure.
We spend a ton of time on every little detail. So we've been making gummies for a long time, but we continue to always work on improving them. And making the ingredients purer, making the texture just a little bit better. Just tweak, constant improvement. So that if you tasted our gummies today and you compared them to our gummies 10 years ago, you'd say, wow, these have even gotten better.
I think that they're better every time I have one, to be perfectly honest, but that just may be me. Nancy, I know you're very, very busy, and I want to get you kind of back into your day. But before we go, I got a little to tell everybody about my favorite products. What are your favorite Wana products right now?
My favorite Wana products?
Yeah.
I absolutely love the quick products. And I love how fast they come on. I like the fact that I don't have to make a long-term commitment to them.
Yeah.
And that's why we named them after happy hour drinks.
Sure.
Because we wanted to get across that feeling of like, you go, you have a drink, you enjoy it for a couple hours. Or in our case, I always say you go to a concert, you take a quick gummy, you enjoy the concert, you drive home safely.
I love that.
So I love the quick products. We also have another line of products that are lesser known, but they're fabulous. And there are tarts.
Yes.
They're a sort of a pressed tablet tart. And they are delicious. And we're going to be doing a lot more with those in terms of using them as a platform for innovation. So those are another favorite of mine.
To pay attention
and of course
to,
our vape line.
and the vape line, amazing too. To pay attention, everyone, to pay attention to what the new stuff that Nancy hinted at a couple of minutes ago. They're always working, always innovating. So you want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve. Where can people follow Wana?
Well, of course, our website, wanabrands.com. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. All of those are good places to find the latest news. Instagram, we do keep that very updated, so I would definitely recommend following us on Instagram.
Check them out on Instagram. Nancy, thank you so much. I'm going to actually run downstairs by myself because I'm out of the strawberry lemonade 1-to-1s. I got to re-up. I'm going to grab a couple carts, and I will see all of you next time on our next Farm Pop-In. Nancy, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.